According to data from the National Venture Capital Association, the 10-year return for the venture capital index has shrunk slightly over the last decade. So what sectors hold the most promise for venture capitalists? Ray Rothrock is an industry veteran who joined Venrock back in 1988. While today's market is volatile, he takes a longer view on investment opportunities and sees promise in the security and mobile security sectors. Ray, welcome to Bloomberg West. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Emily.
So I want to get your opinion on these IPO issues that we've been talking about. We've seen so much confusion surrounding the timing of Groupon's IPO, Facebook's IPO. Is it delayed? Is it not delayed? Is it typical to see this kind of uncertainty surrounding IPOs, or is this quite unusual?
I think it's quite unusual. The IPOs that I've participated in have been pretty standard fare in the sense you start, you go through the process, answer the questions of the SEC, make the roadshow, have the meetings with the investors, and eventually price it and get it out.
Then why is this happening?
Well, I suspect the volatility of the market's having a lot to do with that. I mean, if you think about it, right, these companies whose valuations go up percentage points a day and down a percentage points a day, based on nothing but emotions or a feeling, global economics and things like that. So macro trends, it seems to me, are driving market more than specific company features or
Are there
results.
consequences to delaying an IPO?
It depends. If you need the money, there's big negative consequence. If you don't need the money, it's not so bad. You should wait till it's right.
Now, talk to us a little bit about the market conditions. Earlier in the summer, we talked a lot about the bubble. We talked about high valuations. Is that something that's now changed given the shock we've seen to the markets? Has the air come out of the bubble a little bit?
Well, I'm not sure there was a bubble everywhere. There's certainly selected sectors that get hot when there's a lot of demand. I think bubbles are created simply from demand, not from fundamentals in a particular category or company. So when people move to the next bubble, then of course the previous bubble deflates. But I think generally it's the volatility that's causing these issues and the lack of flow through, or I just would say constant flow of the deal.
Now let's talk about the venture industry in particular. It has been shrinking. The market has been shrinking over the last 10 years.
Yes.
Looking back, having been in this industry for decades now, what kind of stage are we in at this point?
Well, when I got into the business, venture capitalists were more like sponsors of companies and less like investors. I'd say these days there's a lot more investors in companies. They buy into a risk-based deal. They want to see an exit in some period of time, and they work hard to get that. The limited partners push hard on us for our returns, and they are putting this pressure, which creates us to go back to our companies and try for sometimes artificial exits.
So is the shrinking concerning, or is it a natural part of the process?
It depends on who you ask. When I got in the business, there's only about $3 billion total capital in the business. We do that in a quarter now, or maybe even half a quarter. So I think, there's always too much money. Every venture capitalist will tell you there's too much money chasing too few good deals, and that's probably still the case today.
Now, one of the areas you're particularly focused on is security. We have seen a lot of hack attacks lately, the WikiLeaks scandal. Why security in particular? Why is that what you're focusing on?
Well, I got into security a long time ago when the whole internet scene started to happen. I was actually at Sun Microsystems before I got into venture, and Sun was on the internet before it was called the internet. So when it happened, security was a natural thing, and security existed in the government agencies and stuff. But when the whole internet became commercial, security became very important. It started with antivirus and then firewalls and VPNs and so forth. So the macroeconomics of security just constantly get better and better and better. The attacks get more sophisticated, so the defenses have to become more sophisticated. So it's kind of, if you look at the macro trends of security, it's never ending. It's almost like an arms race, like the Cold War of sorts.
How does the advent of mobile change that? How does that raise the stakes?
Well, now everybody has multiple access points to their data or their mail or to their whatever. So identity becomes very, very important. Getting access, if I'm on a strange network like yours, for example, and I'm accessing my servers back home, they got to make sure it's me. So I'm presenting a new threat, meaning people could come in through me, or maybe my machine's contaminated. So it's just multiple access points is a big threat.
Now, I've looked at your portfolio. You do have a number of security investments, but what kinds of companies in particular in the security space are attractive to you?
Well, we have a little company here in San Francisco called Cloudflare.
We actually interviewed.
That's right. They were here last week. Matthew was on. It was great. This company is bringing great enterprise security practices and technology to all the long tail. So you're a small company, can't afford the resources. You can get the benefit of that by subscribing to a service like Cloudflare. So the cloud has opened up an enormous resource for smaller companies to reach and get those security technologies that they need.
The cloud, definitely a hot button topic these days.
Yes, it is.
All
Very
right.
hot, very hot.
Ray Rothrock of Venrock, thanks so much for joining us here. Great to have your perspective on the show.